Thank you so much, Laura, as always, for herding us cats. Welcome, everyone, to Tuesday, December 12th. You have made it into the month of December. It is 8 a.m. You're, in fact, in the right spot. This is Public Health and Safety Committee meeting. We will call the meeting to order, and our seatmate, Councilmember Agabi, is on his way in the technology world. We have Angela Jefferson and myself present, so we will get going. That is roll call, already done with number 2. We are on to item number 3, approval of the minutes from our Public Health and Safety Committee meeting November 14th. Angela, did you see any edits? If not, I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve.
Thank you, Angela. I will second those since Peter is not here yet. Any discussion, Angela or myself? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Hello, Councilmember Agabi. Great to see you this morning. Perfect timing. We are on to item.
Wait. I don't know what the city did to this update, whatever. Our Zoom always have its mind of its own. It doesn't let you in. You have to do on and on and on and on. But I'm glad to be here. Good morning.
Thank you. Peter, you are not alone in that. Welcome to Tuesday Technology Days. Lisa Parks, I can see, is writing notes, and we'll circle back on those technology challenges, which we will repeatedly have. Thank you, Peter. Item number 4 is flock safety presentation. Chief Wicks, what are we going to hear about today?
Thank you, Councilmember Dolloff. I'm actually going to turn this over to Commander Mason and Dr. Bowers, and they're going to lead the discussion through this new technology we've identified. Commander Mason.
Thanks, Chief. Council members, good morning. Thank you for this opportunity. Doc Bowers is going to handle the majority of our presentation, and we'll have time for discussion afterwards. I just wanted to kind of lead in by letting you know that one of our primary roles is constantly evaluating technology for implementation by our department and for use in our community. There's many factors that we weigh regarding if we're going to invest or utilize technology. Some of it's about, does it improve our service, our efficiency? Does it give us a capacity that we didn't have before, which kind of leads to where this new technology, or the technology we're going to talk about, will hopefully take us. But there's a balancing act, because we've seen in many instances where police departments have implemented technology, especially front-facing technology in their communities, without input and without building that trust about how the technology would be used, and given an understanding of, is this a technology their community wants to be utilized? Because our job is to provide policing services to our community, and they are our customer. They're the ones that we are serving, and so we need to engage them to the best of our ability. So we're bringing this concept to you. The technology really isn't that new. License plate or a reader technology has been around for well over 40 years. And networks and systems have been around for, decades. But how this comes together in this technology today, and how we would be able to network with partners up and down the I-5 corridor, and specifically across Washington State, is something that gives us a capacity that we currently don't have. And I think that it's something that is worth looking at and potentially worth investing in. So, Doc, will you go ahead and start your presentation?
Yep, I'm going to share a PowerPoint and hope this works. Okay, can you see the PowerPoint?
It's not in presentation mode, but we see the slides.
Okay, we'll try this again. How about now?
Golden.
Perfect. Okay. So as Commander Mason has explained, the system that we're looking at is an automated license plate scanning system. So what I'm going to do firstly is just talk about what the system is a little bit, but then I'm going to talk about what it isn't, because that is equally as important with technology like this. And then I'm going to go through usages a little bit, and then kind of component parts. So this is a real-time system that we're looking at. We did extensive research into different ALPR solutions, and after kind of digging into it a little bit, this system was deemed to be the best choice for what we were looking at. The system is made up of individual cameras placed at specific locations of the city, typically significant intersections, points of ingress and egress to the city. And what the system does is it generates alerts for stolen vehicles, wanted vehicles, within roughly 45 seconds of a vehicle being pinged by one of the systems. It also creates a time-sensitive and very, very auditable search function that helps with investigations, which I will talk about more in a minute. And one of the keys to this system has been the way in which it was built, which has effectively, in this form, been supported by the ACLU, but the fact that it is already in use across Washington, regionally, and in other areas of the state. There we go. Okay, so ostensibly, it's just a bunch of cameras like this. They're mounted to poles, usually, like I said, in intersections. It pings the license plate, very clearly state all the details, gives you an alert within 45 seconds, but it also generates this fingerprint, which is not a fingerprint, which ostensibly means that if you're looking for a specific vehicle, but they have some identifying feature, like they have roof rack, a bumper sticker, a broken window, or something that would definitively identify that that is the vehicle that you're looking for, as opposed to, just having the plate, just having the vehicle. If there's something unique to it, this system generates this unique fingerprint. So you can say, well, we had 5 different pings that were all gold Honda Civics within 5 minutes of each other. Not sure how that would happen, but it's possible. But the one that we're looking for has a cracked rear window and a giant Olympia bumper sticker in the corner. This system would be able to identify that and tell us we'd be able to look at it, but it would identify that as being different. It also gives us an operating system, which officers can access, sergeants can access, and as a department, we can have, like I said, auditable access to as well. So the reason we're looking at this tool is technically threefold, but there's a fourth component to it. So primarily, this is about proactive policing. This is about adding functionality that we do not already have. So knowing when a vehicle enters the city that is of interest. So if this is a wanted suspect from a different county, the moment they enter our city, we are made aware of it. If this is a missing person, if this is, a silver alert, one of the most common usages for ALPR systems is finding people who are missing. And if someone is missing out of a different county and the silver alert goes out, we would ordinarily not know that they're in Tumwater, unless, maybe they went and parked at a grocery store somewhere and, someone went to check on them and, oh, this is a missing person. With the Fox system.
Could you just clarify what a silver alert is in case someone doesn't?
So a silver alert is an alert that's put out for a missing person that fits certain age-related or mental criteria. How else to explain it other than that? But it is a type of alert that means that quite frequently, especially in the state of Washington, you have people who in one city will hop into their car and disappear. Family will register that they are missing, and police will send out the license plate as well as the alert. And you sometimes see them across highways and whatnot. With a system like this, if they entered the city of Tumwater, we would get an alert that this person or this vehicle has entered the city, and we'd be able to go find them proactively. And the same thing works with other types of, vehicles that we're looking for. If there's a prolific vehicle prowler and we know their vehicle and we know their plate, we don't have to sit around necessarily waiting to see if they're going to strike or to know where they're going to strike. we would get an alert within 45 seconds if they enter the city. The flip side of this is as an investigative tool, and as I said before, this is a highly auditable search function. The data is only kept for 30 days, and then it is fully purged by the system after that. But this would allow, if we had an incident, we could look into the system and find any vehicle that passed within one of those cameras within a specific time span. So say we had an incident occur and we have this 5-minute window, we could look up the intersections and see what vehicles pass through that intersection within that span and see if the vehicle that we're looking for is there. The other component that other cities have noticed with this is quite an impressive deterrent effect with various crime types, because when people who know they are driving stolen vehicles, for example, do not like to drive into a city that has a system like this, because they know they are immediately pinged and the police department is aware of their presence. So it dissuades them from entering and committing further crimes, which for us is it's a noticeable issue, because people steal a car elsewhere, bring it to Tumwater, you know, commit vehicle crowns, shoplifts, whatever it is. But with a system like this, people are disinclined. The final component of this is, as a modular tool, Flock works closely with corporations and businesses and partners with them, and allows the police department to partner with them, so that, for example, Walmart is a big Flock customer, and this would allow Walmart to place Flock cameras in their entrances, which feeds into us. So if a stolen car enters the Walmart parking lot, the police department would be notified of it as well.
Other
So
things too with that is also talk about the HOAs.
Oh, yes.
Well, we were going to talk about partnerships, but we'll do it now. One of the things that is pretty unique to this system is it allows other entities to partner with us and to build on the system if they wish. Doc alluded to retail, large retail, or even small businesses that are having issues, especially with commercial retail theft or fraud. They can invest in these cameras, and the information feeds into this system that's accessible by us, by law enforcement, and will notify us if someone pops up. Again, you know, we have being along the I-5 corridor, we have a lot of commercial retail theft that comes from outside the area, that comes and impacts our retail corridor. It would be highly likely that if the business is invested in this system, we would be notified about known suspects or wanted suspects, and we would be able to respond proactively in a way that we, you know, don't have that current capacity. Additionally, like Chief alluded to, other entities like an HOA can invest in this system. If HOAs are having significant issues, if they want to invest in placing a camera in a strategic area to identify, you know, if they've had people come in and, you know, we've had a lot of mailbox theft or vandalism. Can be really significant for an HOA, very impactful. Not a crime that we're able to really just sit on and watch. And so this would give them the ability to help invest in being proactive and help us solve crimes within their areas in a way that is very strategic and very controlled. And so allowing investment by other entities is a pretty unique part of this system that we're pretty excited for.
So the summation of the why for us, as I said, missing and endangered persons, identifying people if they enter the city instead of happening upon them or finding them because of other circumstances. This would alert us when someone has come here. Same for Amber Alerts, Silver Alerts, missing Indigenous persons, being alerted to them instead of having, you know, the only opportunity of finding them being if we, you know, happen to stumble upon the right vehicle. And there was a case recently where a Silver Alert from the eastern side of the state, I think it was Spokane, popped up in Pierce County. I mean, we're made aware of things like Silver Alerts, but it's not like you're actively searching for that one vehicle. I mean, that's not impossible to do usually, but this system generates an alert the moment that vehicle enters, and you can go do something about it. Same thing with stolen vehicles, wanted vehicles, organized retail theft suspects that are prolific up and down the I-5 corridor, regional suspects that, people that we're looking out for. Hit and runs, perfect example. When something happens and you want to know what vehicles, within a very short span of time, you will just look up that time frame and get a handful of license plates, and then that's an investigative tool. Also, there are anti-terrorism components to this because it will alert to vehicles that are on certain watch lists, and also as a preventative measure. So the how, as I said, this is a 24/7 indiscriminate monitoring of key roadway locations. This system is entirely objective. It's not looking for anything particular. It is just scanning the license plates in that rear section of the vehicle, to which generates that fingerprint. Per the way Flock has been built, the footage is owned by the city, not by Flock Safety. It is our data. The data is stored in an Amazon web server, which is the government secure cloud, completely safe. There is a full audit trail for all searches, just like most law enforcement databases, meaning you cannot just look up, an intersection and see what plates went through it. This is a fully auditable system, meaning you would need a justifiable reason, and that is all tracked every login, everything. But the key to this is that the system has a 30-day purge, which means 30 days after a license plate is collected by the system, it is wiped, and that's it. There's no recovery, there's no nothing. So this generates, that significant time window for investigations, allowing you to do what you need to do for an investigation, but it also means you're not storing data, you're not generating this huge list, of vehicles or anything. Like, this is gone after 30 days. So the
Dr.
police
Bowers, Dr. Bowers, I have a question. So do you need a court order to access? Because I could hear our citizen now saying Big Brother is watching, right? But we keep it for 30 days, and how is it accessed? Does it require additional personnel costs to monitoring it? Is it just out there? Will you access it? Are you monitoring it? Is someone going to call us?
Angela, do you want to
something-
break up those
Right.
questions, and because you're giving him a lot right now, so do you want to
Right.
break that
Okay.
down a little bit?
Right. So does it require additional personnel costs? Who will be reviewing and
there is
watching this
no
data?
there is no reviewing, no monitoring, no watching. The
Okay.
only thing the system does is alert if a plate that is on like the NCIC watch list, or a plate that we're looking for, if a plate matches that, it generates an alert. The system is not, the system itself, as a system is obviously going 24/7, but no one sits and watches it. No one collects the data. It is just there. And which is why it has that rolling 30-day purge, because it doesn't require anyone to be watching it at any time.
Okay, so if there's a vehicle that someone's looking for, they'll just ask us to look and see if they've been a tow order.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So the Police Executive Research Forum, cities that have implemented Flock and...
Can I ask a question?
Oh, absolutely.
So you record this data and you keep it for 30 days, and then you delete it. So when you delete the data, say someone goes to court and you don't have a data to show that they were ever in the city, what do? Is there a backup?
No. The searchable data is gone after that point. If you use the system as a means of identifying a vehicle, it gives you an identifiable ping. So it shows that vehicle at that moment in time, but that is effectively pulled from the system because it was identified. Everything else that was in the system is completely gone, but that one point is identifiable. And the only thing contained in that is the timestamp, the date stamp, and the image stamp from the picture and obviously the location of where the camera was. That's it.
Okay, thank you. So I have a follow-up question.
Okay.
Within a 20 miles radius of Tumwater, is there any other city or entity that has this system or will use this system?
How far is Centralia?
So Doc, I'll touch on that.
Okay.
So there are numerous agencies up and down the I-5 corridor that utilize the system. Centralia has kind of been one of our benchmarks. They have utilized the system for a while, and we've learned from some of their experiences. I know that every agency, Lacey, Olympia, Yelm, and us, and Thurston County, actually. So every major law enforcement agency in Thurston County is looking at and evaluating the system. So there are municipalities up and down the I-5 corridor that utilize it. We could get a list if you were looking for it. But this is something that is in place and it is growing. And as it, I'll just use an example. We have had a vehicle prowler who comes into our area, hits a specific type of business. We have, we've identified who they are. We have their license plate. Our detectives contact Centralia regularly to run the plate to see if it's been around their area and to notify them. And so, by proxy, we have tested this database a little bit and have had positive results. So I hope that answers your question, Councilmember Agabi.
Sure, thank you.
I want to hit on one other thing. I was going to wait till the end, but I think it's key right now is Dr. Bowers talked about the ACLU and Commander Mason talked about this technology's been around for 20 plus years. The ACLU was very key in shutting down license plate reader technology in Washington because of the invasive nature, and Councilmember Jefferson hit on it earlier. This technology is supported by the ACLU, which is huge. So I just wanted to make sure everyone's clear of that. To have the ACLU supporting this, it talks about the advancements.
And as part of that, one of the reasons it has been supported is the way in which it was built is entirely objective. It's not looking for people. It has no facial recognition system. It doesn't require monitoring. The system is only looking for plates that are wanted. And if you want to access the database to look up yourself, it's fully auditable and you only get 30 days to do it. It does not create this huge watch list of plates. It doesn't generate, it's not like we're just piling the data up. It has been built in such a way that makes it functional. So the Police Executive Research Forum, when they were comparing cities and comparing localities that used Flock, the data suggested that on average you get up to 50% more vehicle recoveries. And cities with the system reported up to 40% reduction in robberies, 60% reduction in commercial burglaries, and up to an 80% reduction in residential burglaries. And this is data from all over, including Washington State. And the reason I throw Yakima in the mix of this is the Police Executive Research Forum, their data showed about 50% more vehicle recoveries. Yakima's data showed a 52% increase in recovered stolen vehicles. So the data is accurate and consistent. One other component the cities that have Flock get is this thing called a transparency portal, which allows any member of the public. I pulled these down for half a dozen just different cities to look at it, and it shows and it updates basically in real time, but it talks about what Flock is, how it works. It has the policies, so what is detected, what's not detected, the retention period, how many cameras the city has, and acceptable use policy, prohibited uses, the access policy, the hot list policy, and then this thing in the top right corner is every department that has the same system. And as you can see, this one I pulled on September 12th, I think it was. And that's how many places in Washington, I think it was Washington, had Flock at the time that I did this. So this shows, you know, how many vehicles were detected, how many hot list hits they got, but also how many searches. And one of the things that we actually learned from Centralia is once their officers got familiar with the system and understood how it works, their proactivity increases almost exponentially because it gives them tools that previously they didn't have. I mean, you could go looking for stolen cars, but how many stolen cars are there at any given time that you could go looking for? You could look for one specific one, absolutely. But this system generates alerts of a stolen car has just entered your city at this intersection. You know what it is, you know where it is, you can go do something about it. And for that reason, it's an incredibly powerful tool. That's all I have. So if you have questions.
The last piece before we get to questions, I just wanted to just touch on this one more time. The reason we are excited about this technology is that, you know, it's shown itself, it's proven, it has good value. We also want to improve our capacity in ways that we currently can't provide policing services. And it also allows us to partner and support our retail community and our business community better. One of the questions I get asked regularly, you know, because our retail partners have been significantly impacted over the past several years with loss and with other challenges. And one of the things that we get asked regularly is, you know, what are you doing to help your businesses out? And this is one of the things that we could affirmatively say, you know, we have invested in this technology and this is what we're doing with it. So that's just, I wanted to share that with you, and we'd, you know, be happy to answer your questions.
Thank you, Commander Mason and Dr. Bowers. Dr. Bowers, could you stop sharing your screen so I can see everyone's faces?
Councilmember Doloff, just one thing to add is that what we're looking for today is just the support from this committee so we can move forward with a who, what, where, when, why, and how. We didn't want to really go much further until we had a temperature check from our council and the council committee. So that's what we're looking for today.
Thank you, Chief. I appreciate that. Angela and Peter, do you have any additional questions besides the ones you've asked?
I was ready to put it in the budget. What is the cost? I was ready for the who, what, where, when, and why. But with the reduction in robberies and just looking at the statistics and the reduction, this is what people want. So I'm all in. Let's get this thing rolling like next year.
I feel Angela has
from
tempered her response, so I don't really know how she feels right now.
I will say from a data perspective, which is what I really dug into with this, the results are incredibly consistent, and they're not results from Flock, they're results from the cities that have implemented this system, and their own rates show it. And a good part of it in terms of the reduction, you know, the arrest rates increased, stolen car recoveries increased, but a lot of things just stopped happening as much. And one of the things that I'm incredibly mindful of is something that I do often is look through footage to try and identify vehicles, usually, you know, and try and get a license plate, which with a lot of footage that we get is nigh on impossible, especially things like Ring doorbells. You cannot get a plate from it. This system, the one thing you will get 100% of the time is the plate.
Right.
Well, in terms of your ability to do something with that information, this system is incredibly powerful because instead of having an unknown vehicle with an unknown plate that we can attempt to identify, this is, we have the plate. That's it.
Good investment. Good investment. Thank you.
Thank you, Angela. Peter?
So I always look at it at the whole picture, not just a point in time. I think the system is useful and can help in a whole lot of ways, but my concerns are, you've said that the ACLU said this is okay, so I will have to take your word for that. You also said that you will maybe partner with HOA, so that's that. And you also said about the retail loss that is very significant. So by the way, that data that was presented was from 2006, and that is not necessarily true. That's significant and on the national level. So now, locally, if you identify an incident, that means you will have to send an officer or allocate an officer to follow up. So currently, we don't have enough police officers. Currently, we don't have enough money in the budget. So now, how do we make this work? And now, don't get me wrong, I'm in favor of this. I'm just asking the why and how.
So you're, just to make sure I'm able to answer you correctly, you're saying because of the increase in information like notification of stolen cars or missing persons, the impacts to increase in need of service. Is that accurate?
That is correct. Yeah, that's correct.
Well, I think how we manage resources that's what myself, our lieutenants, our sergeants do every day, every moment that we're here. And so it's always going to be how do we manage resources and prioritize response? What I will tell you is that I would rather have information that's actionable and decide how we're going to manage it than not have it. And I think that, there may be a time that we have, multiple stolen vehicles come into our city at a time, and we're on priority calls. Got it. But I would rather have that information and be able to manage that than to not have it, especially, and on that top end information, especially for like a missing person or a silver alert or something like that. It gives us information that we currently just don't have access to unless we randomly come across it. So it would become a management of resources and how we prioritize it. And that's quite honestly a task that I would be excited about, a problem I would be excited about having.
And I'll go ahead and address the money question that you asked, Councilmember Agavi. Every year or 4 times a year, the city receives money from the state of Washington. It's called criminal justice funds, and it's very dedicated funds that can only be used for new technologies. You can't use it to supplement budgets or existing programs. And so this would fit into that funding source, and we'd be able to tap into it to purchase this upfront.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Weeks. Peter, any additional questions?
No.
Okay, so I'm seeing, thank you, Peter and Angela. I'm seeing general support. I have a caveat to my support. So taking notes today, and I appreciate the concept, and I'm really appreciative of that human element of identifying those in need, right? Those alerts that I am in support of. The questions I have is who else in Thurston County is using this? And Commander Mason said the other jurisdictions are looking at that, right? The question I have is when we talk about an investigative tool, deterrent effect, how you manage resources, right? Proven good value, improved capacity, partnerships, support, right? Collaboration. I am all for new technologies, right? And I love that Tumwater is pushing this and taking the lead in this. I would like it to be bundled with body cameras when all the other jurisdictions have body cameras. Tumwater does not. And if we're talking about those keywords of partnership and efficiencies and effectiveness, I would like to see this bundled with body cameras. And I'm hoping that that would be in Chief's report regarding, I don't know there's so many titles of reports, but like your strategic plan, your research, and whatever that report you're working on, I would like to see this technology with body cameras in that report of the need specifically in Tumwater. And I still haven't heard a price, right? And so I'd like that to be bundled with the cost of body cameras and what that looks like. And if you expect a portion of that from the criminal justice funds and the portion from the county levy that's just passed, that timeline, that's what I would like to see. But I am not in support of just solely doing this technology. I am in support of bundling it with body cameras and serving our police and serving our community and what that looks like holistically, if that makes sense. So that's where I'm at.
Yes, that does make sense. I don't know that you would actually call it bundling, because it will actually require two different funding
Right.
sources.
Sorry,
and
I
two
just got back
different-
from vacation where I'm bundling items that I was buying, but like, let's
No,
not
I-
lose track of that together.
We have not lost track of it. Those are two different items, on the same track, just coming from different angles.
Right.
We're scheduled to come back to you with the body camera, information in January, and this one will come separately. We just didn't move forward with costs and kind of mapping out anything until we actually talked to, this committee and got support for it. With your support, now we'll start doing the legwork behind it and come back to you with those kind of costs, just like we are going to with the
Perfect.
body worn cameras.
Thank you, Chief. I like it to be acknowledged, like, I always like to link back, right? So in our new agendas, I talk about like how it's linked to our strategic priorities and goals. I would love for these items to be linked with the report that you're working on, but also the community survey that we had the other year. How does it tie back to what we're hearing from our constituents, to also what you're forecasting, right? So I'd like that to be also identified and addressed, because it helps council members with all the different threads and the puzzle pieces that we're putting together, if that makes sense.
I hear what you're saying. Thank you.
Thank you. So you have overall consensus to move forward, collect more data, because we love data, and then coming back to us in the beginning of 2024, which is right around the corner. Anything else for item number 4? Thank you, Dr. Bowers, Commander Mason, Chief Wicks, for always an informative and learning something new, which is always a conversation starter when we're out in the public. We're going to move on to another subject, which is item number 5, School Resource Officer Update. And I am assuming Chief Wicks is going to be Detective Lieutenant Kolb.
Yep, I will pass this off to her shortly. Again, thank you. At the request of the committee, you asked for an update. Again, overview of what the program is about, and then just what trends we're seeing in this early part of the school year. So Detective Lieutenant Kolb supervises our SRO program, and so she's going to go ahead and cover that.
Good morning, and thanks for having me today. One of the things that you just said is that you like hearing about new technology and getting new information. I am bringing you old information. We've talked about SROs in the past, so this is going to be a brief overview of our program, just kind of an update. And like you said, talking a little bit about the trends, but I just want to do a brief overview. We've talked about some of the things before. We're going to talk about their purpose, their duties, and then their trends. So the primary purpose of the SRO program is to have a positive interactions with the students, the faculty, and the parents in the Tumwater School District. Their goal is to support safe and healthy learning environment, keeping in focus the goal of seeing the students graduate at the end of their educational careers. Watching them walk across the stage, and both of our SROs love attending the graduations and being there, giving the high fives, and seeing the work, seeing the outcome of the work. Our SROs serve the Tumwater School District, which consists of 12 schools, the district office, and the bus barn. Our SROs follow what is called the NASRO Triad Model. That's the National Association of School Resource Officers. It's Triad Model, which you can also see, I guess, emulated in the law, as a matter of fact, but the model is a school-based policing concept, which is true tested strength of our SRO program. It divides the SRO responsibilities into 3 areas. They're educators, they're informal counselors, and then they're law enforcement officers. The goal of the SROs is not to focus on punitive measures, and they do not, and I repeat, do not get involved in any school discipline decisions. Any school discipline is left to the schools and the district, and the SROs don't have any involvement in that. And it's important that we highlight that. It's important that our SROs are seen by students, parents, and faculty as real people, and not just people in uniform. They're not just police officers. They're friends. They're another caring adult in the building. Our SROs are a primary point of contact in the justice system for victims, witnesses, and suspects. They're an advocate that helps navigate the justice system. So You know, a lot of times students and staff are victims of crimes, and you know, who in the building can they go to help them navigate what that looks like? Our SROs, they're the perfect point of contact for that. They're also there to help de-escalate parents and students. They try to work through situation using guidance, mentorship, and not, like I said, criminal punitive measures. Some of their duties, they work collaboratively with the district to provide a safe and healthy learning environment. They attend events, like I said earlier, oftentimes to celebrate students and staff achievements, graduations, celebrations, assemblies. They attend as many assemblies as they can. Sometimes you'll get even SRO Bowling will dress up and play his guitar at the request of the kids. So if you ever are interested, go out to one of the assemblies and see that. They attend things like PTO fairs and carnivals, interact with the kids, faculty. They read, they play games with the kids. They work collaboratively with Tumwater Parks and Rec. That's one of our important partnerships that we have. They attend the TYP events every year. I work with the Tumwater, the Parks program, and get our SROs out to their summer camps. Give them tours, let them play games, put on the vest, climb around in the patrol car, and just talk about what it is that we do. So they're building those relationships there as well. They do a lot of education throughout the year. Our 6th through 8th grade students have a lot of cyberbullying, sexting, safety education. They teach in the health classes about substance abuse. They talk about active shooter in school safety, and they address situation needs. They work collaboratively with the district on school safety measures. This last year, the school district hired a school safety manager for the district. I was going to say school. I meant the district hired a school and safety manager, and our school resource officers and myself work closely with him to address safety needs at all the various schools within the district, like fencing, camera systems, active shooter response, drills, a lot of lockdown drills, that kind of stuff. Just help them implement it and make sure that everything is going smoothly. They do threat assessments, criminal investigations involving victims that attend the school district within the district or within the Tumwater School District. So if a student is a victim of a crime, sometimes sexual assault, physical assault, domestic violence, our SROs are there to work with those students who need that help. They provide security at some sporting events where there's going to be a large number of attendees other than just students and faculty, where maybe there's a heightened risk of a major event or misbehavior. Some of our bigger games, they attend every home football game for Black Hills and Tumwater, so there's officers there. But some of the other sporting events, basketball, baseball, where maybe there's going to be a higher attendance and they're getting word of maybe some misbehavior, they'll attend those as well. They assist life skills students. They're the life skills staff to de-escalate students who are in crisis. We have, say, Officer Rollman, who's on our crisis or county-wide crisis negotiation team. He's excellent at de-escalating. So he gets called on to come in and just be a calming voice, be there to help de-escalate students and get the students back on track and into the classroom. It's not a discipline, it's not consequences, it's just there to have that de-escalation to help that kid be successful and get him back into the classroom. So both SRO Roman and SRO Bowling are great at that. The kids look to them for that de-escalation sometimes when they're not communicating well with their teachers. They're just, like I said, in that other caring voice in the building. And most importantly, our SROs are always looking for opportunities to create culture of inclusivity and involvement. Some examples of this, helping to create the friendly competitions that occur between Black Hills and Tumwater, getting as many students and staff involved as they can, like the Pioneer Bowl, last year's Battle of the Billy. just getting the kids riled up. They stand in their, respective student sections and just get all the energy and the culture, just getting it going. SRO Bowling created pregame tailgates this year. And it's, everybody loves baseball, basketball, and football. Not as many kids and staff and friends, parents attend some of the other sporting events. So SR Bowling took it upon himself to create pre-tailgates for some of those lesser attended sports at Tumwater High School. So it isn't just, the culture isn't just centered around maybe 2 or 3 different sports. He also funded, cooked and served hot dogs for all graduating seniors last year during lunch period, something that went off really well. And this is at Tumwater High School. And he wants to continue that every year.
Doloff has a question.
Oh, yes.
I know
I'm
you can't
just
see
going.
it. Thank you, Chief. So I just want to be mindful of the time. Meeting ends at 9, and I appreciate the background, which we've heard before.
Okay.
What are they seeing this year and like numbers? Like this is the first I've heard about the curriculum and training, and so I would love to see that. Like, do you have numbers regarding how many cyberbullying trainings they've done, shooter trainings, the substance use, lockdown drills, the threat assessments? That I would love to know. Less about how many hot dogs they've served, but how are they helping youth, and specifically the numbers with the schools?
Sure. I don't have the specific numbers. I have the data, but I didn't put together the specific numbers of how many trainings they have done this last year, but I can get that to you. I do have all that data.
I would love that to be
I have it
sent
all in raw
to
form.
this committee and the rest of the council members.
Sure.
Do you have a
Good thing
timeline
with
for that?
too, Councilmember Doloff, is you do receive that every month in the inside the city of Tumwater. When you see the police department report in the SRO activity, we report that every month as well.
I do not recall seeing the numbers of trainings and stuff like that. So thank you for that reminder.
If you read the SRO activity, it'll be included in there. It'll talk about the different classrooms they go in and provide presentations to. It'll talk about assemblies, anything when they're presenting the things like you're looking for. If you want it in real time, you can see it because we provide that monthly.
I guess speaking for myself and not Angela and Peter, I don't need to know the football games and the assemblies. I want to know the interactions with youth, because when I'm hearing challenges and things are not working well for some students, and I'm not seeing that on the other side, how do I bridge those two to show there's an opportunity to engage differently with different youth in the school district? So that's what I'm trying to marry those two, because there's a disconnect. And I'm wondering, Chief, if you're compiling all that monthly data, could that be added to your annual police report to the community? Because I think that would be really helpful and beneficial to summarize that, to show the engagement of our SROs.
We can try to do that. If you look at the volume of data we put out monthly, I'm not sure how we would do it, but we'll look at it in a cumulative fashion. But really, the story, what you were just describing, is exactly what we do in our monthly report, because we talk about the interactions, on a one-on-one basis. So you could hear about what they investigated. You could hear about how they engaged with the student, or the student engaged with them. You can hear about the different classes they visited or the assemblies they did. It is a total picture every month.
I guess my challenge is, then why am I not hearing about room for improvement? Why do I never hear about the challenges and the examples that I'm receiving outside, and I'm not seeing those reported? Where's the disconnect?
I don't know, because I don't know what you're being told.
Okay, I would love to have a chat with you, Chief Wicks, and give you those examples. Peter, Angela, anything since I interrupted Detective Lieutenant Kolb?
Yes, as it relates to data, I would like to see the demographics. I'm hearing that Black and brown kids in the community are facing higher arrest rates and higher discipline rates they're just being bullied. And I just want to see the data. What do we look like? It's like our prison data. You know, Black and brown people are arrested at a higher rate. What do we look like in Tumwater? That's what I want to see. Just peel the layers and the numbers back. Let me know where we stand. Do we have a problem with that? So, you know, Chief Wicks, if we can talk behind the scenes, but that's what I want to know, because I'm getting a lot of complaints about these kids and that is all I have to say.
So
You're
can I,
muted, Councilmember Dolph. You're muted. You're still muted.
That's how my day is gonna go. I should just be quiet. Thank you, Chief Weeks. Thank you, Detective Lieutenant Kolb. Peter, you're unmuted, and then let's go back to Detective Lieutenant Kolb.
So my only ask is, so since they are school resource officers and there's a police report every month, which I don't know, would it be possible, and I know Chief Wick said that given the amount of data that this that may not be, but I'm going to ask anyway, will it be possible if this data, if it's not currently being sent home to each student's parent or guardian in the school district every month, is it currently being done, or is it possible to do that moving forward?
I'm sorry, I couldn't understand what you were asking.
So my ask is it possible, if it's not currently being done right now, because I don't know, is it possible that this data, when it comes out every month, becomes part of the report or report or whatever that is school sends home with each student? Because every month when my kids were in grade school, we receive communication from the school, but now they are in middle school and high school, so we don't receive as much communication. But we do receive electronic communication every Friday from the district in the PDF, in a electronic format. Is it possible for that to have a link to the data that a parent or one can look at?
Chief, before you do, I'm going to expand on Peter's, because I agree with Peter, and I've talked to Detective Lieutenant Kolb back in the day about this. Is, you know, we've talked to Dr. Bowers about thresholds and specific data we're looking for to do X. Could we have a discussion of certain data metrics we're looking for to narrow it down from all the data that she's getting? And then we have specific requests that we'd like to see on like a quarterly basis. Is that an opportunity?
We can definitely discuss it offline. It would depend on the data and where it comes from and who has ownership of it. But yes, we can discuss it offline.
I would love to do that, because this has been a repeated request with current Public Health and Safety Committee members regarding data to understand, right? To connect to what we're hearing outside to match it up. And data is a good way for us to move forward and make better decisions and show that we're being responsive. And we've never seen the data. And that's, I think, the challenge, is because there's so much and it needs work. And so we need to be more specific about what we're looking for. And I think we have an opportunity to do that starting in 2024.
Thank you.
Thank you, Angela and Peter. Sorry, Detective Lieutenant Kolb, but also thank you for this discussion.
so do you want me to continue through the trends, or you got 7 minutes to sum it up?
Well, I mean, so what trends? I
So
haven't seen.
I'll
yeah,
just go over real quick. So some of the things that the SROs have reported back to me that they're dealing with, vaping in the bathrooms is a big trend. The online bullying and harassment, as long as social media is around, we're always going to have the online bullying and harassment. And some unauthorized students coming on campus, they get called to different schools to deal with that and having to address that. But then they turn all these things, more often than not, they're turning back over to the school to handle once their initial involvement is done. So those are the three big trends that they're dealing with the most.
Thank you. That helps. That puts it in perspective, right? Because we hear I hear from other school districts, right? And so it's great to put it like what Tumwater is seeing. So I really appreciate that. Angela, you have unmuted.
Yes, thank you for your service. But tell me a good news story, your greatest impact, where you say, I really love this job because.
Me personally, or about the SRO?
Yes, you, your SROs, just a good news, the impact that you are having on a student.
Oh, on the students, Oh, man. Oh, God, there's so, you're putting me on the spot. So, I want to go back to the things that SRO Bowling has been doing at Tumwater High School to engage the students. I talked about it a little bit already. And it's what makes me proud, because a lot of what he's doing in terms of these tailgates, getting involved in the car show, so Tumwater High School has a car show. And the reason he wants to do that is because he wants to include students in activities that maybe don't involve sports, right? Because not every kid loves sports. And to see them, our SROs, get involved and do these things a lot of times on their time, on their dime, because they're paying for it out of pocket, is what makes me proud, which is what I encourage them to do. And that is why I love what I do, is because I get to see the people the officers that I work with every day, be successful and to get engaged in what they do. That is why I love my job, is because they're excited about what they do. The kids are excited for them to be there. And I get to witness it firsthand, just because I'm so engaged in the program as well. So
Outstanding. Thank you. And tell
That's awesome.
Officer Bowling, thank you for his service. We appreciate you.
will do.
Thank you, Angela, for ending us on a high note. And I see Administrator Parks has shown us her face.
Thank you. And raised my hand. I wanted to offer a little story because I feel like this is my observation as a new person coming into this community. And this is in direct response to Councilmember Jefferson's question about the impacts of the SRO program on students. I have had 2 ride-alongs with police officers, one of those with a young man by the name of Seth Stauffer. I think I'm pronouncing his last name correctly. And one of the first things Seth said to me after we got all buckled in and I squeezed in between all of the equipment that he rides along with, is that he said, Tumwater is the greatest city in the world. And then he went on to explain to me that he'd lived here all his life. He was a graduate of Tumwater High School. He worked at Dairy Queen to help himself through, make money through high school. And he indicated that he had always wanted to be a police officer. And it was largely because of the positive contacts that he had with the SROs. And I believe it's the current SROs that he experienced in high school a few less than 10 years ago. How's that? So in my mind, it's the tailgates, it's the belonging activities that Officer Bowling, that Detective Lieutenant Cole described, that are really, it's the intangible benefits of those positive interactions that often don't show up in any data. And I think that it's sometimes it's difficult to prove a negative, and the negative being a lack of crime, a lack of incidents. And so I think that I would just like to say, one last component to my story. A couple of meetings ago, I announced to the council that Patrolman Stauffer had been awarded the Life-Saving Award because he had provided CPR to a person that was in need and in crisis, in medical crisis, as he was proactively outreaching to a business owner. So a young person in Tumwater High School had a series of positive interactions with the SROs at the time, graduated from high school, became a police officer, and a few short years later was awarded a life-saving award. And to me, that tells a great story. one last observation, if I may. What I observe, the tension around data is there is a lot of data that the City of Tumwater Police Department collects. There is a lot of data that the Tumwater School District collects. And I think what you're asking for, what I see you wanting to have, is a compilation of that data from various sources. And Chief Wicks touched on it a little bit. We are happy to provide you with the data that the City of Tumwater collects. But I feel like some of the data you may be wanting, is data that is not ours to collect, manage, report, et cetera. So I think the meeting with Councilmember Dahloff and Chief Wicks would be very helpful to help us as staff understand specifically the data you're looking for and what we can provide to you, and then what we can't provide to you, and perhaps you may be able to get from Tumwater School District. But that's my data is a big term, and it means a lot of different things, and so that's my observation. And I think, as staff, as City of Tumwater staff, we are more than happy to talk with you and provide you with data. And believe me, especially with Dr. Bowers on staff, we have got a lot of data, and it's actually very well managed. So we're happy to do that. I think it's just a matter of
Yes.
clarifying.
Thank
what we
you,
have
Administrator
and what we can
Parks.
give you.
Yes, I appreciate that background, and I'm happy to share meeting minutes from the past couple years of this ongoing communication. So you're right on point. I have no doubt that we have the data. The discrepancy is there was no data, now there's data. There was no data, now there's data. No fault to anyone, but it's having those conversations with the school district, which has been on our list. So thank you, Administrator Parks, for bringing that back around for continuous improvement. And point of order, we're going over, but I need one more thing to respond to Administrator Parks. I love those two examples that you gave, and that doesn't take away from the positive experiences in our community. It also doesn't take away from room for improvement and people who have different experiences, right? So anytime I ask questions that might be uncomfortable, it is in no way disrespectful or to discount those positive interactions. And I also want us to be transparent and accountable to those who have different experiences, and to build that trust and rapport so that we show that we're doing due diligence. And we talk about belonging and inclusive, we identify what that means. So I appreciate those examples. I never want anyone to feel uncomfortable, though I feel like I do that a lot, but it's for the best, right? Because it helps us grow, it helps us be better. So utmost respect to all of our first responders, everything that you do. And it doesn't discount from people who might have different experiences. And it's an opportunity for us to be better together. So thank you all. If there's nothing else, I see you all muted. I've gone over time by 3 minutes, but thank you for that time. Meeting is adjourned at 9:03. We'll see you all at the work session tonight.